The film Psycho by Alfred Hitchcock begins with the main character, Marion Crane, an office worker who's in love with a man named Sam. She would love to marry Sam, however she can't because he has to give all of his money away to alimony. When her employer trusts her to bank $40,000, she takes it as a great opportunity. Here is when we see one of the first interesting camera angles in the movie. While she's packing for her trip, the camera pans on the envelope with the money in it. This shows that she obviously neglected to deposit the money and had other ideas in mind. She takes the money and heads up to Sam's California office. She decides that she would stay in a hotel right off the main highway named the Bates Motel. She is greeted in the motel by the owner, Norman, who lives there with his mother. His mother seems to have a lot of control over this young man. Marion decides that she's going to return to Phoenix and return the money she stole because she feels extremely guilty and doesn't want to spend the rest of her life running away from the police. She's in the hotel taking a hot shower when Norman's mother comes in and violently murders her. In this scene, the lighting is definitely different from the rest of the movie. Norman's mother's face and body were darkened, so you cannot see her actual features, only the body shape. You never get to see his mother's face. Also, the camera takes Marion's point of view in the shower, so you can see the water pouring onto her, and in the faucets as well. Later on, Norman finds Marion's body, cleans up the mess, and decides to sink the body as well as the money and her car into a swamp. Sam, her lover, is contacted by her sister Lila and by a detective, Milton Arbacast, who are both looking for Marion. The detective was hired by her employer to find her and the money as well. The detective traces her to the motel and drives up. He questions Norman. He asks if he could speak with his mother, but he refuses. When the detective enters Norman's house, where the mother is located, he is stabbed to death by the mother. Norman sinks the body into the swamp and hides his mother in the fruit cellar against her will.
When the detective does not contact them back, they go to the police. Sam and Lila decide to go and check the motel themselves. They drive up and act as though they are a married couple looking for somewhere to stay. They search the cabin which Marion had stayed in, and Lila goes into the mother's house while Sam distracts Norman. When Norman realizes their plan, he rushes to his mother's house. Lila is hiding in the fruit cellar, where she discovers the mummified body of Norman's mother. Norman rushes in wearing his mother's clothing and a wig carrying a knife. Sam arrives just in time to save her. Norman is arrested. As it turns out, Norman became extremely jealous when his mother found a lover, and so he murdered both of them. He was extremely guilty and tried to erase his crime by bringing his mother back to life in his own mind. He preserved her body and he then developed a split personality where he played both himself and his mother. He is under the impression that his mother is committing these crimes and not himself. The film ends with Norman sitting in his jail cell. He's being dominated by his mother's personality, and so her voice is what we hear in his mind. She says she will prove to the police that she is innocent. The camera fades out, and then we see Marion's car being pulled out of the swamp. The elements of suspense in the movie are extremely obvious. The intense and terrifying music in the background foreshadows that something disturbing and potentially horrifying is about to happen. This happens several times during the film. When Norman's mother murders Marion, when she murders the detective, and when Lila is searching the mother's house. We both found that the movie was a little bit slow at the beginning, especially because we didn't know the background information. By the time the shower scene came along, we were both entranced by the obvious horror that was taking place. From then on, we were very interested in how this film would play out. It had a creepy feel to it, but you couldn't pull away from this thriller. It's amazing that back in the 50s, such talented people could pull off making great movies such as this one. This was Alyssa and Vanessa's movie critic on Psycho by Alfred Hitchcock.